Hello and welcome to Ancient Myths of the Current Era, a series where I dive deep into the mythology behind one of the greatest MOBAs of all time, known as Smite. This series will hopefully give you a better idea of who's who in the wide selection of gods and goddesses available in the world of Smite. In today's video, we are going to talk about Osiris. So let's get started.
Easy go.
Osiris is an Egyptian god described as having green skin, which signifies rebirth, a pharaoh's beard, and mummy-wrapped legs. He wore a crown with large ostrich feathers on either side, called an atef. He also held a crook and a flail, and the crook is thought to represent Osiris as a shepherd god, although the symbolism behind the flail is unknown. Osiris is the god of many things, including the afterlife, the underworld, the dead, transition, resurrection, and regeneration. Osiris is the ruler of the dead and of the underworld, having replaced Anubis for that title. Osiris's parents are Geb, the Egyptian god of earth, and Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the sky. He has 4 siblings: Isis, Set, Nephthys, and Horus the Elder. He is not only brother to Isis, but also husband to Isis. And as if that wasn't already messed up enough, they have 2 children, Horus and Min. The thing about their kids, though, is that Min is the god of reproduction, and as such is depicted as a male human with an erect penis in his left hand. Now who does that? And Horus? Well, his messed upness doesn't stem from him, but rather from his parents and his conception. So anyways, it's story time, and let's start with how Osiris came about having his son Horus. So Set, Osiris's own brother, and the queen of Ethiopia conspired with 72 accomplices to assassinate Osiris. Set tricked Osiris into getting into a box. Set then closed said box, sealed it with solid lead, and then threw it into the Nile River. Isis, Osiris's wife, searched frantically for Osiris's remains until she finally found them. Isis found him embedded in a tamarack tree trunk that was holding up the roof of a palace. This palace was in Byblos on the Phoenician coast. She opened the coffin and found Osiris dead inside of it. She then used a spell she learned from Geb, her father, the god of the earth, to resurrect Osiris. Hence his being the god of resurrection, and after he was resurrected, Isis was so happy to have him back that they decided to get down to business, and Isis ended up pregnant. Well then, after knocking his sister and wife up, Osiris was like, "I'm pooped out. I think I'll rest a little while longer. And so he died again. Isis hid Osiris's body in the desert, and a few months later, Horus was born. While Isis was busy raising Horus, Set was hunting and came across Osiris's body. Set was furious and ripped Osiris's body into 14 pieces and spread the pieces throughout the land. Isis went looking for them and found all of the pieces except for the penis, which had been eaten by a fish. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I think we've hit 20 on the messed up scale. Isis then bandaged all of the pieces of Osiris together to give him a proper burial. The rest of the gods were so impressed by Isis's devotion to her brother and husband, and so they resurrected Osiris once again and made him the god of the Underworld. So just to clarify and recap, Osiris has an incestuous relationship with his sister, Isis. From said relationship comes 2 children, both of which are sons. One of them, Min, is the god of reproduction, and is depicted as having an erect penis held in his left hand. And the other is conceived when Osiris is murdered and his sister brings him back to life just so she can have sex with him. Osiris then impregnates Isis, and then he dies again. Oh, and his penis is later eaten by a fish. So now that we have all been through this ordeal together, let's discuss why this happened. Horus being conceived, I mean. Isis brought Osiris back to life so she could have his son, because Set murdered Osiris for his throne. Because Horus would become the legitimate child of the legitimate ruler, he would then be able to challenge Set's rule, and eventually it would lead to Osiris's resurrection. With Osiris being the ruler of the Underworld, judgment became a key issue for Osiris. The idea of divine justice in one form or the other is first found during the Old Kingdom, wherein a 6th dynasty ruler's tomb contains fragments of what people later describe as the Negative Confessions. When the cult of Osiris began to rise during the Middle Kingdom, his humblest followers were offered the chance at eternal life. Moral codes became the dominant factor in deciding whether one was suitable for eternal life. At death, one would face a tribunal of 42 divine judges. If said person led a life that followed the codes of conduct provided by Ma'at, then the person would be welcomed into Osiris's afterlife kingdom. However, if said person did not follow Ma'at, then they would be thrown to the devourer, Amit, after being subject to divine torture and punishment. Because of the severity of the punishment, divine pardons became an obsessive concern for ancient Egyptians.